So, Sairam, everyone. Last week, I think before I start, I will let everyone know that we have decided to request everyone who is attending the study circle to turn on their videos so that the session can be a bit more interactive and we can see each other, and sometimes non-verbal communication also is easier to detect by others. So it'll be a very good thing. If you are comfortable, please turn on your videos. Saya. Last week, the paragraph which we read and discussed before we broke for the week was that where Swami is telling or giving a glimpse of what exactly is free will and what is real freedom. Swami is saying that he doesn't understand what worry is. Nothing affects him. So to one who reaches that state is not affected by anything in this world, then that person is free. And when that person wills anything, that is free will. When we are not affected by anything in this world, either worry, fear, trouble, trouble by that, pain by something, none of these, if they are afflicting us, only then we are free. And when in that state of mind, in that state, whatever we will can be considered free will. That's where we were. So I would pause here. That's just for us to recollect what we discussed, and then we can move on with the next paragraph. So I will ask Sister Kalyani to read on. Sairam, sister.
Students, you may not be aware that the divine is changeless and unaffected by sorrow. Whether you believe it or not, the truth is, I do not know what is grief. Worry is totally alien to me. I am not aware of any difficulties, disparagements, or pressures caused by others. You should remain unaffected by what others say or do. When someone comes and tells me, Swami, I am suffering greatly, I reply, Chala Santosham, very happy. I am always happy. When someone tells me about the death of a near relation, I say the same thing. I am equal in my response to everything. When people lament about their sufferings, I often wonder what suffering means. It does not approach me.
Sairam. So this was the paragraph. I think we just read it and we may have briefly looked at it. I have already sort of summarized some of it. So I will open it up for anyone, any participant to share your thoughts. Or if you would like to discuss something, please go ahead, Saya. I guess everyone is either reading it or I think you'll feel there's no further discussion needed and we can move on then. It is just that it may seem very difficult, almost impossible for us to be in that state. But I think Swami wants us to strive, make an effort to get to that place or that state where We are actually not affected, at the core of our being, we are not affected. So when we are so, um, no, nothing in this world will unduly shake us. And then Swami says, I think that's what Swami refers to as freedom. If there are no other comments or questions or any views, we'll wait for about a few seconds. And if none of you are speaking, then we will move on to the next paragraph.
Hi, Ram. Just to add, Swami in one of the birthday celebrations said there were many devotees wished him happy birthday, Swami, happy birthday, Swami. And Swami said, I'm always happy. I want you to be happy, each and everyone to be happy. Also, there were a few ABCs, Swami, in Swami's quotations, avoid bad company and all those. Another one is always be cheerful. Swami always want us to be happy. That's another ABC that Swami said for us. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. So if there is no other comments, I think Sister Kalyani, we can read on.
People come to Swami with every conceivable kind of problems and views. On one side are those who adore Swami. On the other side, there may be those who deride Swami. The two may be like two hillocks with valleys below them. Both the hillocks and the valleys are the same to me. This is the proper spiritual attitude. Occasionally, I appear to be displeased with the behavior of the students, but the anger is only apparent externally. It does not come from inside. In some cases, I do not speak to a person for months together. This is the remedy for his malady. This kind of medicine has to be used for curing the disease. What right has anyone to ask why Swami is not talking to him? That is my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Sister. Swami is going on further to explain the concept of real freedom and how we have to live in this world. And even any external actions or even the emotions which we take on, how they should be used for the right reason without that emotion tainting our state of mind, is what Swami has demonstrated here or explained here. Swami has demonstrated it in his life always. That is a real aspect of divinity. So I will stop here. If there's anyone who would like to comment or say something or discuss something, please go ahead.
That is, Sai Ram, that is equanimity, right? Treating the hillocks and valleys, the pains and pleasures, same. That equanimity, am I right?
Yes, I think so. Yes. I think it's equanimity. Swami has also talked about samadhi, with an unperturbed state of mind in all occasions.
Thank you.
Okay, I think if there is no comments or thoughts or
Sai Ram, brother, the last sentence, what is Swami trying to tell us on that? What right has anyone to ask why Swami is talking to him? That is my pleasure. What is that Swami is trying to tell us with that sentence?
okay, sisters. Nice catch. But I will ask anyone else here in the study circle to comment on it, please. Okay, now because no one is saying anything, so I will share something. It's as devotees, all of us pray, and then it's not talking maybe because Swami is not physically present. We can even talk about our own current situation where Swami is not physically present. We may pray fervently. We'll go to the altar and pray, or we may sit wherever we are, think of Swami and pray. And sometimes we will ask. So, when we expect God to do something, so we ask Swami to do something. Maybe we are faced with a problem, maybe, we are suffering from a disease. We all have requests. Brother Sitaram, I'll just interrupt. Brother Sitaram has said on the chat box, Swami is also telling treatment for each individual is unique. So we should be happy that he is owning each of us. But Swami, we all belong to Swami. That's what Brother Sitaram says. So the thing is, we all take it for granted. We have this expectation that as soon as we ask, Swami should do something. In life, we should ask ourselves what can make us so deserving that God has to drop everything and tend to this small individual of ours, our problem. We can say, oh, Swami, we are your children. We belong to you. But then Swami will say, are you conducting your life like that? So that I think that is what Swami is asking. We should ask, whenever we ask Swami something, we should ask Swami, we should ask ourselves whether we really deserve, what exactly have we done with our lives for us to demand and expect that the Lord responds. Because the Lord, if we believe that the Lord is all-knowing and He will do what is best, we should not ask. But we tend to ask. It's like, as Swami says, it's like the patient going and asking the doctor, give me that medicine, that's what I want, rather than the doctor deciding the medicine. So we ask and we expect that it is our right, and Swami owes it to us that he has to do something. And so Swami is putting us in our place and saying, don't think, just because you ask, I will do something. It is my pleasure. Okay, that's my understanding. I will pause here, stop here.
So, Sairam brothers, still I didn't understand. That is my pleasure. If you can you elaborate, brother, a little bit? Thank you.
Okay, maybe I will just clarify, but others can definitely chime in. Because the Lord does everything out of pleasure. His pleasure is that his children are moving forward. He does as the student, as the child requires attention and the type of attention it gives. But he does it out of pleasure. He doesn't do anything out of spite or revenge or anything, or even the sense of punishment. Even if he punishes, it's for our good. But that's why he uses the word pleasure from what I understand. Because he knows that what he is doing will definitely help us. We may not realize it. I think that's why he says it is his pleasure. That's my understanding, but others could share with their thoughts, please.
Thank you, brother.
Sai Ram, I have a question here. Like, say a country is facing a natural calamity, whatever it is a tsunami or any disaster kind of thing, and every other countries jump in and trying to help that particular country, and even the Sai organization jump in and whatever they could do, they are trying to help them. So they can't simply say Chala Chandosam kind of thing. How that Swami viewing this as a human, as our nature, the tendency, and the Swami always tells us for the Tatra Narayana, you go and help them. Then how we can't simply sit down and say, oh, everything is happening for good? And how Swami is viewing this? I know Swami says he's God, but as a human, how can we accept this kind of situation? Can you please help me to understand? Thank you, Sai Ram.
Very good question, brother. I will leave it for the participants to share their thoughts, please. I keep on talking too much. So anyone in the group, any of the participants can share your thoughts on this topic of, Brother Arul says, should we do things out of our pleasure, just the way Swami does? Sai Ram.
It looks that Baba is owning us, as you said before. He thinks that we are his property, and Ekoham Bausyam. He's telling that, that. So entirely he thinks that the whole humanity or the whole life, any life is his own, his very own, and so he only exists. For him, he only exists, and so as a self person who's only one person existing in the universe, he sees like that. So that is what the last sentences show, that he treats us as his very own. So that to make us understand that we are nothing, we are zero, and he is the hero. So in that to make us understand that that high truth, he has been speaking like that, and Chala Sandosam also in that view. That's only I don't know whether I am explaining that clearly what I am thinking, that the last two sentences and Arul's thinking is that he owns everything, and yeah, sorry, if I am not clear, very sorry, but I feel like that from the reading of this one. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please?
Sairam. I think we are born with a body consciousness, so we have some limits. So Swami is entirely vast extended, the whole beyond the universe. So when the soul departed come to him, he is so happy. You come back home. Like that, if children come back from school, we say, oh, hug them, and we are so happy. But sometimes kids doesn't like that. Oh, school is nice. We can play with those friends in the home. We stay here alone and do studies, things, under controls and like this. But Swami thinks when the people die and everything, he come back to him. So the people, Swami's view is very happy. Until we die only, we don't know that what is outside there, and after that, after the death, and then after we die only, we understand. Okay, we as in this temporary platform, and we suffer a lot without any reason. That time we understand. Oh, Swami says it's my pleasure. We can understand that time only, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please?
I just came a little late in the group, but just quickly read the paragraph. And what we're talking about, like when Swami is angry or if he's giving punishment or he doesn't turn around us, it's only because look at mother and father. How many beatings, as a girl also, not only the boys are beaten, even the family. They don't mean it. They do, even if they're beating, the love is flowing out of their mouths, yet they're abusing the child that you did not do right what I told you. So that is, I feel, is Swami's attitude. When he's angry, he's not inside angry. We are all his children. So he accordingly, he just gives us little hint that I'm not happy with you with your actions. And that is why he's angry, or he turned the face around you, or he doesn't talk to you. So we should not take it personally that why should Swami didn't talk to me, why he did do this. It's not, we can't command him, but he's all the love for all of us. It's because of his love that he wants us to teach us properly. If you don't listen, then you're punished. Many times, all of us must have been punished in school with parents, and even got rulers on your hand, on your bums. I remember all kinds. But that was not a beating, a kind of a beating we think. It's only to teach us that how to be a good person. If you don't listen, then there is a consequences to it. Thank you, Sairam.
Okay, Sairam, sister. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please?
Sairam to all. Baba is 1,000 mothers to equivalent to 1,000 mothers. He has to put us in the right path with lot of love. He is giving a silent treatment. That is not a harsh treatment, but it can be felt harsh to those who really love him with all the devotion. So this is the way a mother can discipline his children or her children. So I think this is the method that he is using, and he is doing his part. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please?
Sairam, the other second thought is that, when Swami thinks that we are his children, we are obeying what he's saying, we are benefiting from what he's telling us for our own good, then Swami rewards also. Many times Swami has rewarded many students. He's always keeping a track of them. You don't have any pocket money, or if you don't have any money, you want to do this. He always gives that love too. So it's a very balanced attitude of Swami, like a mother and a father. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please? It's okay, Brother Arul. So I think I will attempt to share my side of thoughts on the question which you asked. I think your question is, if Swami's action is not, as others have just said, Swami's action is not indifference. It is a conscious choice of a certain type of action, which in Swami's divinity, he understands that's the ideal situation for us to, the ideal way to help us. So as human beings, as Brother Yoga has already said, we all live in this human body, and so we have to treat other human beings also just the way we treat our own physical existence. So if someone is suffering, then we should do something. So I think in Swami's case, if he's not talking to one person, it's not that he is silent and not talking to anyone. He has enough number of people to talk to and help. In spite of that, people complain that he's not doing anything. So he's constantly living he has lived in the physical journey for the benefit of everyone else. That's all he spent all his time for. So I think that is the example he set. His statement here is that not that he is indifferent, whatever even if he's not talking, it's a conscious choice, conscious decision out of his pleasure that is going to help us, and not necessarily say just looking out for himself. As human beings, we tend to spend all of our time looking after ourselves or whoever we think is ours. And Swami would say you have to break out of that, treat everyone the same way. So I think that is where the service comes into play. And even for seva, it's even if we don't do, Swami can take care of the problem. But it's an opportunity for us so that we derive joy, and in the process we also progress towards him. So that's what my understanding is. If there are anyone else willing to share something, please go ahead.
Sairam, brother. Based on the discussion, I don't know I have understood the right way. The last sentence, what the right has anyone to ask why Swami is not talking to him? That means anything happening or anything that Swami is giving to a person, we are not supposed to question, because we have to believe on it to say that Swami is doing for good. So that we shouldn't question. That's where Swami get the pleasure. So am I right, or my thinking is incorrect?
I think you're right, sister, but I think, there are two things when I think things happen to us. One thing is to say, okay, it's that's what Swami wants us to have, and this is good for us. I think that's a good attitude. But I think Swami, Swami has given the example of he's getting displeased with the students. At that time, what happens is, or what has to happen, is self-reflection. Is there any area for us to improve? Why has Swami given me this treatment? Because one thing is not talking. One thing is for Swami to express some anger also. So I think these are times when we have to, instead of getting upset with Swami,
Yes.
you should have talking. Our job is to first accept that this is the right treatment for me accorded by Swami. And we also should ask, what is the lesson for me from this? Whether he praises or whether he scolds us. In both cases, I think we should ask ourselves, what exactly is a real lesson from what Swami says? And I think only then he will get some pleasure out of it, that it has worked. Is what I think. Okay, Saira.
So we supposed to ask ourselves instead of Swami. That's the pleasure. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Sairam.
Thank you, Brother Arno. I know you had the real experience on this. Your discourses, you elaborated on this when you were a very small student with Swami, and how Swami was treating you. I cried at the time when I was listening to the discourse. But to be honest with you, as a mother, she has all the right to do things, and she is doing things for our good. That is for sure. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam. Yeah, you're right. That was the first big lesson taught by Swami. So I think everyone has listened, so I'm not going to repeat. Thank you. If there are no other questions, I think we can proceed a little further.
Remedies are according to maladies. This may be illustrated by an example. 4 patients come to a doctor for treatment. Superficially, they all appear to suffer from stomachache. The doctor examines one patient and tells him, "There is nothing wrong with you. You will be all right if you give hot water fermentation for the stomach." To another patient, the doctor gives a mixture of soda bicarb and mag sulph, and tells him that if he takes it, his gas trouble will go. To the third man he says, I shall give you a purgative. You will be all right after 2 motions. After examining the fourth man, the doctor declares that he must undergo immediately an operation. Does the doctor bear any ill will towards him? Not at all. His ailment is different. He suffers from appendicitis, which calls for immediate operation.
Thank you. I think Sister Kalyan is the best place to explain this. But I think the word operation, some of you may understand. So I think the more used word is surgery, I guess, in this part of the world. But I think it's rather clear for everyone. So I will just pause and let anyone share their thoughts.
Sairam, what I gather from it that we all are different individuals with different personalities, and we all need different behavior also. Our behavior itself is very different from even from the same siblings, same parents, but we all have different weaknesses and different strong points, and some, some come out with very divine soul, some are not. So Swami accordingly, he sees that how much he needs attention from me. In what way is it I have to be hard on him or her, or have I to be? He knows exactly how to put you on the right path according to your personality and your behavior. So that's how the doctor, he's a doctor, he's the biggest doctor in the world, and he knows inside out of us. So he accordingly used his methodology on us, like whether if he needs severe punishment, if we need little bit, or if he can even do it with love. Sometimes some of us are very naughty with him, he still gives us love. You think maybe that is the solution. So then you have to, like a doctor, you have to use your different reactions to different personalities. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to share any thought, please? I think all of us understand, so I think we can. I think it's an opportunity for us to, wherever, whatever our life experiences are, we can also, because we can say, in this case, Swami is not giving us any treatment. We can't even know whether Swami is giving any treatment. Because we pray and nothing much is happening sometimes. So then we need to ask ourselves. I think we need to do some soul searching. That's what I think Swami is trying to tell us here. So if there's no other thought to be shared by any one of you, can go to the next paragraph. And there's a comment somewhere. Someone has put something. I think there are a few comments. I think I would just, sorry, I didn't read them. One brother has said, Mr. Brother Ranga, this is his Leela, so he's having fun playing with all of us. Then Brother Vimalation has said, he's ignoring a devotee only to correct that particular devotee. So that is also his karuna, compassion. Brother Sitaram has said, Sri Sai Sarva Rogha Nivarine Namaha. Means the Lord is the remover of all types of diseases and ailments. To that Lord we bow down. Saira. We can go on, Sister Kalyani. It's the next paragraph.
Sairam, this is not like a one-time treatment. Some people struggle throughout their life, and maybe this is due to their past karmic actions, even in the births. Like that, and then as a doctor, is that has to go? Every soul has to go through, or the doctor can intervene and give some medication. How that works? kindly explain? Thank you, Sai Ram.
Okay, I will take a first crack, but others can chime in. See, there is Swami called something the Adi Vyadi, the oldest disease, which everyone who is born suffers. So that means that disease is continuing through various births. So it's a chronic condition, and that chronic condition sometimes gets bad. So the chronic conditions, they cannot be treated instantly. So the problem, the spiritual disease, from spiritual terms, the disease which we suffer, which is identification with the body or the mind, is a chronic disease which we all are suffering. And I think just like any chronic disease is treated, it takes time, effort, and each patient reacts differently to different medications. And I think the medications get changed, but the disease doesn't go away easily. I think there are two things which the doctors do. One is to strengthen the patient, and also treat the disease. And I think that's what Swami continuously do. So sometimes the tactics he employs may slightly change, is what I understand. Or that's the explanation I give myself. And there are other places Swami has spoken about it as well. I will stop here. I hope that I have answered your question. I will open it to other participants to share their thoughts. Saira.
Sai Ram, I just wanted to build up on the point you said about how doctors will sometimes treat, but there's two kinds of treatment, which is like the therapeutic treatment, where you're treating the ailment for that point of time, or giving like a emergency or first aid care for that point of time, and the other is prophylactic treatment. And prophylaxis is, for example, like vaccine to prevent the condition from developing, and you develop your immunity and antibodies, or putting a patient on blood thinners so they do not have another episode of stroke or something. So perhaps Swami is trying to say that, and like what you said, we have to do soul searching. This particular episode or circumstances have happened to us, but to prevent us from falling into the spiral of sin or whatever it is, we need to still do something to maintain and continue on the right path, and to have faith in Swami. It is hard. It's like sometimes you don't see any light. You think, is God sleeping, or is, what's going on? I've sometimes thought myself, and I keep thinking, oh, God is testing me. And testing what? A unit test is over, review test is over, final test is over. How many more tests do we have to pass? But this has given me some insight that, it cannot always be immediate solution to the problems. And some, like you said, perhaps they are chronic diseases and we are born with birth, and it's the karma of our previous lives that are continuing. But all we can do is pray and hope and leave it to Swami. He will deal with it at the right time in the right way. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, sister. See, one, I'm reminded of, I don't know, maybe it's related to this, but, not directly from here, but during my school days, there was a philosopher who had come from Australia, and Swami had given him for a series of talks. And he gave a series of talks, and very enlightening talks. One of the things he told us was that in this world, when all of us are born, we are actually living in a bubble. All of us are living in a bubble. And there are many bubbles rolling around us. But what he was telling was when the bubbles are all rolling around us, we can scream, but the other person in the bubble can't hear what we are saying. But we think that person has heard and that person is reacting. But that person imagines that they have heard something and they are reacting. So in this process, we all look around at other bubbles and things around us and trouble ourselves. But he says, understand that you just focus on your bubble, in the bubble, how you live. And the better you get in managing yourself, others will get some positive message from you. But what he said is, the reality is most of us don't understand that the other person in the bubble is hearing us properly. So we bang on the bubble, on the walls of the bubble, and we make ourselves so miserable. Or even life situations are so bad around us, but we bang. But it's all within, we hit this our bubble, the walls, but it doesn't affect other people the way it affects us. So I was always reminded. So the thing is, you should understand even the reactions which we create within our own self is ultimately the challenge. If we take a look at the great saints, they have all dealt with this. If you look at Prahlada, he was tortured by his father, but he never held ill will towards his own father. He never showed anger. No, and I don't think he ever showed even pain, so sadness that my father is like this, because he had total confidence that the Lord will take care of my father. In front of his own eyes, the father was killed by Narasimha, and he just prayed to Narasimha. That is the highest level of devotion, because I think that comes from total faith in the action of the Lord. I don't think Prahlada thought that his father was being punished. He felt the Lord is, when he's Karuna Sagar, I think we already looked at it, who is embodiment of love and compassion. He cannot be doing harm to us. If at all, whatever he is doing is for our own good. So that is the state of mind of Prahlada. So I think, I don't know whether I just spoke so much, but it's, he dishes out the right kind of treatment for everyone, and we should believe, we should have total conviction. I think Swami used the word conviction a couple of paragraphs ago. Once we have that strong conviction that the Lord, who has been looking after every one of us all these years, who kept us alive, has given us, created air to breathe, water to drink, food to eat. He has been looking after us. So we should have that conviction that the Lord is taking care. So I think I will stop there. Thank you. And someone has typed, Brother Sitaram has typed a few things on the chat box. I'll read out. Few thoughts on this paragraph. One of the many definitions of devotion told by Swami is when our thinking aligns with God's thinking towards a given situation in life. Swami is explaining his thoughts and the way he thinks towards treating a devotee. Actually, he need not explain himself for his acts. These paragraphs help us understand how he thinks, thus help in developing faith and devotion towards him. Sairam, Sister Kalyan, maybe you can read on.
Different treatment to different people. Likewise, judging from the thoughts and behaviors of different persons, I mete out different types of treatment appropriate for each of them. I do not look at some persons. I do not talk to some others. I turn away from some others. All these are different types of prescriptions. Why am I giving these medicines? I have a certain principle. I attach great value to my words, irrespective of how you regard them. When I notice that some do not respect my words and act properly, I do not like to waste my words on them. Because I desire to maintain the value of what I say, I refrain from talking to some person.
Thank you, sister. There's nothing much for me to comment here. I will open it up for any one of you to share your thoughts, please, Saira.
Sairam, brother. Here, I just wanted to add something here. Yeah, what is Swami is trying to tell is there is nothing for you to compare with this, whatever the grace is showing on others. So don't look at that. At the same time, when Swami says something, he wants us to follow. This is what I think I'm getting out of this paragraph. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister Saira. Anyone else would like to share some thoughts, please?
My thought on this one is like, if it is a doctor, like a medical doctor here, we can always go for a second opinion. Okay, did he prescribe it right, or he's thinking right? But he is God, and he is telling us, and there is no second God. We can go for a second opinion. So whatever he is saying is the right thing, and we should adhere to that. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please? I think I will expand on what Brother Arul said. Sorry. Because I think we all tend to go for second opinion sometimes. Swami will say something, and sometimes people don't like to hear what Swami has said. So then what we will look for some alternate instruction, which which appeals to us, that human tendency. So we may even seek other gurus somewhere else. That Swami always makes a joke about, somebody prays to Rama today, nothing is working out, then he'll put it away, and then they will start praying to Krishna. Then that's nothing, not helping. Then you go to Shiva, like that. So sometimes it's a tendency, because we want something very badly and we are not getting it the way we want it within our own time frame. Sometimes we seek second opinions, and of course Swami will then wait. You go and come back, and so that may be a distraction or diversion. So, but as Sister pointed out, I think Swami is he says if we don't attach value to his words, he is not going to talk to us. Not because I think he's angry. He has given the instructions which we need to put into practice for a particular period, at least, before he changes the solution for if we have benefited from it. I think so. Every word which we come to hear or read, I think Swami wants us to give a lot of value to those words. Especially when we are, week after week, we are attending study circle. And so I think even though we may read, Swami may not speak to us. The words will not speak to us, I guess. That could be a problem.
So, Sairam, brother, so that means, in this Kali Yuga, so Swami came as a physical form. So we are lucky to be with the Swami, and we have been to the Puttapathis, and some people were studied over there. We are so lucky. But Swami taught everything. He can only teach us, up to us, whether following his teaching or not. Swami is not going to, when you are doing something wrong, he can't come and stop that one because he's doing favoritism. Because another person can come and tell you, why you didn't stop at me, you stopped that person. So he has to be good for everyone. He can only teach up to us to follow the path or not. Thank you, Sai Ram brother.
Sai Ram, brother. Sai. Okay, I think if there are no thoughts or comments, I think we can go to the next paragraph, Sister Kalyani.
People who complain that Swami does not talk to them, why don't they realize that they have not acted according to Swami's word? Once you realize that your behavior is responsible for Swami's attitude, you will correct yourself and behave properly in the future. Devotees tend to complain against Swami, but do not recognize their own lapses. There is no need to appeal to Swami to speak to them. When you correct yourself, Swami will talk to you of his own accord. If you pray for rain, all other things, like growing crops and reaping the harvest, will follow naturally. Separate prayers are not needed for each of these operations. If you implicitly carry out Swami's injunction, Swami's grace will be obtained immediately.
Thank you very much, Sister. So Swami is giving us an assurance that he will be with us. He will look after us. But we need to do the right thing. That's what Swami says. So I will pause here, and anyone who would like to share your thoughts or impressions or discuss any point here, please go ahead.
Sir, so basically, like from this part of the discourse that Swami is giving here, so basically Swami is teaching us that we have to correct ourselves and behave properly in the future, especially if we don't act accordingly to Swami's words, and then also and it's not good to complain against Swami when we have to correct our own behavior, especially when we see the line, but do not recognize their own lapses in this paragraph. We have to realize that we have to correct ourselves, and we have to behave because Swami is trying to help us to behave good.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thought, please?
Sai Ram, brother. In this case, I just wanted to point out, we are working as and we are within an organization, and everyone has their own duties. Sometimes most of the people are office bearers, and all kind of assigned duties are there. In that cases, you should be giving the priority for that. That's something Swami has given to you. Then making an excuse and all that that I don't see that will go please Swami. So when you are taken up some kind of role or some kind of service or some kind of position, that you have to make it that 100% do your duty on that. Giving an excuse for reasoning, giving reasons, excuse for not doing it, that's not something will please Swami here. That's just I wanted to point out here. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please?
Sairam, I will say small comments because we are worrying Swami not talk to us. How many we talk at home with Swami? We always pray, and do the arati and left. And we never sit down and talk to Swami casually. Swami, how are you? What are you? This is going to happen in the area like that. If you casually talk, only he will talk to you back in your heart. It's my experience. So I tell some people, my closest friends, talk to him, don't pray. And I went to the airport for my work. I saw the one elderly person. He's 83 years old security guard. I asked him, you pray Jesus? I never pray. I talk to him every night. So Swami give a the assurance, yeah, talk to me, not to pray. You will pray someday, we are tired to pray like that, we have to do the puja and stuff. Just talk to him every day. All that deities what you have, Lord Ganesha, you say, okay, come and sit in the lap and they're praying like that. You can treat them, they are alive there. So it will happen. Then you can see the Swami talking in your side. They guide you everything. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Sairam, all this time I was thinking this is Swami is talking to the students in the school or the devotees, that this is Prashanti. Now from Brother Yoga, even he was explaining, this is it's a nice way of saying things like this. He was one of his, whoever it is, he's working at the airport, he mentioned, and one of them was saying he talks to Jesus. And the same way that Brother Yoga is saying he is talking to Swami. It's a great illustration. I thank you, Brother Yoga. Thank you. Saira.
Sairam. When Ramakrishna Paramahansa was there, that his devotee, that disabled, was asking, so, did you see God personally? So that Ramakrishna Paramahansa said, yes, I see the Mata like one and one, no? Personally. Likewise, if we have faith in Swami in 100% or 200%, I can say, you can talk to Swami anything for anything. He will be with you all the time. He is always hearing your prayer. That is my belief. Thank you, Sarah.
Sairam, brother. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to share something, please? Just to echo what Brother Yoga Kumar said, because Swami is talking about talking. I think there are students who to whom Swami has personally, while telling, Swami, how do we feel your presence all the time? Some of us say, okay, Swami is with us all the time. But Swami says that just saying that doesn't help. For example, just we are at home and we are just going out, we will tell people at home that, I'm going to go out, or I'm going to do this. So Swami has said that every day, whatever you are doing, if you get up from the bed, he said, Swami, I just woke up. Okay, I'm just going to go to the washroom. Or he says, I'm going to brush. Let's go and have breakfast. I'm going to go to office. Why don't you come with me? I'm going to the grocery store. Please come with me. We have to have this continuous conversation with the Lord. Then only He will accompany you wherever you go. We can't say, He is everywhere, He's going to come. And, then we forget Him completely and go about. So this practice of learning to talk and having Him as a constant companion wherever you go is one of the best ways to feel His presence all the time. Just as a side, I don't know whether you may have heard, there's a lady called Geeta Mohan, her father used to be an attendant of Swami in Vrindavan. She used to apparently keep the passenger seats in her car for Swami, and she always felt that Swami is coming with me. So once when she went to India for an annual trip, during the interview, Swami said, "I am unable to sit on the seat next to you because you're putting all sorts of things there." So, because though she had reserved it, sometimes she puts the handbag or other things on that chair seat. And Swami told, you're putting all sorts of things. How can I sit comfortably? So, Swami has assured, it's not only for her. I think it applies to all of us. So we have to make God a constant companion with whom we have a continuous conversation throughout the day. Thank you, Brother Yoga, for bringing it up. Thanks.
So, Sairam, but so in order to talk to Swami, we should supposed to have firm faith. If we don't have faith through the devotion, we don't have that kind of connection. For example, the frog is sitting on the lotus leaf, so there is honey is there, but the frog doesn't understand. There's no connection. Then at home we have insect, so we don't have any connection with the insect. Same thing, if you take a family member, maybe the family member is not far away. If the person wants money or some kind of problems, we want to help right away. So that kind of connection is there. But if the neighbors or some other people wants anything, we don't have the connection. So if we develop our connection, whatever Brother Yoga said, whatever Brother you said, is 100% true. Thank you, Brother Saira.
Sarah, if you just talk, don't worry, he replay or not. Eventually, he start to hook up yourself. Like a telemarketer calling every day. One day, I pick up the phone. I said, "Hang up! Don't call me like this, man. I don't want this like that." So you keep talking, then he will talk. Because one of the assurance I give you, one of the small baby, 1-year-old baby came to our house, and our relatives. So I took the baby to show Swami's picture. She started talking a lot to Swami. The parents not sad about it, but they surprised. What is he talking with the picture? And I do say, okay, sit down, we do the puja. So I have apple on the offering for Swami. When the puja happens, the baby grab the apple and go with mom. And I said, so happy because Swami took the apple, accept the prasadam like that. And the baby talked lots. And 1 or 2 cents is talking very lots. And I am really surprised that they give me so assurance, Swami, so I am there. See, baby can see because of your heart. So baby can see, so we can't see because of our delusions and the dirty in our mind or thing. That's what Sairam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. I think we can read the next paragraph, sister.
First of all, impart value to your own words. You are endowed with a pair of eyes, with 2 ears, but only 1 tongue. Truth is the life breath of speech. The ways of the divine are not easily comprehended. God will not succumb to abuse or feel elated by praise, even if the whole world joins in either blame or adoration. When you have the conviction that the divine is pure and unsullied, you will have no need to worry about any other thing.
So again, Swami has used the word conviction here. Ultimately, it's just not casual faith. The faith has to turn into total conviction, complete belief that the Lord is there and He is pure and unsullied by any negative qualities. And then we will, sometimes we praise the Lord and think, hopefully, he is flattered. The God is not affected by that, but he will be, I think he will respond to us if we genuinely and sincerely call out to him and continuously speak to him, and he will talk to us. Then he says we don't have anything to worry about anything. And that becomes the total freedom, I guess, which Swami wants us to reach, attain. I will stop here. If anyone of you would like to share your thoughts, please go ahead. I don't know. None of you are speaking, so maybe I will just. The first 3 sentences seem to be quite important, I guess, from what I can see. Though this is the last paragraph, Swami is saying first of all in this. He says that means primarily that should be the first thing which all of us should practice to reach that ultimate state of freedom. He says, impart value to your own words. You are endowed with a pair of eyes with 2 ears, but only 1 tongue. Truth is the life breath of speech. Because it's only one means you cannot have 2. That's why only 1 tongue, Swami says. And because it's given 1, that's a precious thing. Then Swami says, impart value to your own words. What does he mean by that? I think it's a question we could ask. Because we will say, oh, Swami is divine. Just even if we take that statement, are we attributing value to that? I think is something which really, if we say God is compassionate, are we attributing value, complete value, complete conviction in those words? That I think is Swami wants us to explore and ask ourselves or reflect, because that's where Swami goes. The ways of the divine are not easily comprehended. So it's speech here, Swami, because Swami says truth is only one which does not change, which is God. So whenever we have a thought or we make a statement about Swami within our own mind, we have not spoken out externally. Are we actually attaching value to that word? Sometimes we just repeat what others may say. But once we attach total and full value, meaning to those words, then I think Swami says our life will change. Because then we will have total conviction. And once we have total conviction, then God is free to talk to us back and forth. Then he will talk and then we listen, then we do what. Once we have conviction, whatever he says, we will follow without a second thought, without questioning it, without having any doubt. And I think through that process, Swami says, we will come to a state where we will not worry about anything and we will be free from any care, worry, or fear. And that's what I sort of understand, but I will stop here. If any one of you would like to share your thoughts, please go ahead.
Sure. So basically, in the first line of the first part of the paragraph and the last part of the discourse, Swami gives here. First of all, impart value to your own words. I guess it basically is referring to the concept of thoughts, words, and deeds. So I guess we have to unify our thoughts, words, and deeds in this case.
Okay. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to? Sairam.
Yeah. The Swami says whatever is, the ears and eyes and everything we have 2, but only tongue is 1. That means it's a very important part, playing tongue. We have to speak very, truthfully and everything. to all the time, that is very important. That's what Swami is mentioning here. That's what I want to say, Sairam.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share any thought?
So, Sairam, I think the eyes and ears are the why they give it two. So analyze and clear and make sure what's happened. Then talk one. And understand the truth. That is clarification. Two party, opposition party and ruling party like that. So you had to two the thing on the tongue is only one. You had to speak the truth. I guess Sairam.
Sairam, thank you. So if I think so, this has brought us to the end of this discourse of Swami on freedom, spirit of freedom, and freedom of spirit is the title given. We picked it up because there were questions about free will, but I don't know whether everyone feels we got the understanding of free will. I'm sure we have to talk to Swami, and Swami will clarify if we have any doubts, I guess. We have read, I'm sure it's all in his words. We can reread and understand. And I'm sure Swami will help us understand fully. Or none of us, or maybe some of us, some of you have understood well. But I think whatever we have not understood, Swami will help us understand. And hopefully we pray that Swami bless us with conviction so that we can proceed. So this has brought to end this topic. We are thinking of taking up Dhyana Vahini going forward, because we didn't get too many suggestions, but there was a feeling that we should do something which is very practical. So Dhyana Vahini was chosen. But we thought next week, we will circulate the Dhyana Vahini. I don't know, you can find it online also. If not, we will circulate the Dhyana Vahini PDF document for everyone to take a look at and read. But in the meantime, for the next Sunday, we thought we will have an open question and answer session, because there were some requests for that. The only issue is, ideally, if we can collect material for those questions, it will be better, because otherwise the discussion can sort of go off in tangents also. We would like to avoid, but it'd be a good idea to have a little unstructured discussion, so that we will know what the interests of the participants are, so that you all benefit. Even if you have any other suggestions as to what you feel that we could take up, please suggest. You can email us to the regional to spiritual wing email address, which must be in your emails which you all have received, and we will take it up as we'll consider them. But for the time being, we are thinking of moving on with Dhyana Vahini. But next week we will take a small pause and we will take up questions. If you can send any questions which you would like discussed, or topics, even short topics, hopefully we can discuss them. Okay, those are my thoughts. If there is anything from any one of you, please speak up. And then
Sairam, why don't you ask all these months we did so many topics and study circle, from the audience, whoever participate, the feedback, how they transform and how this study circle help them, really helping them, or how we can change and everything, like a review part kind of thing. I also have some opinion to share with everyone. That is also my concern, Sairam.
Okay, Sairam, sister, we will. That also could be done next week. I mean, we can limit few minutes for every participant, because it's good to get feedback. We have been asking for feedback, and some of you have given by orally. If we can discuss those feedbacks out of which we have received with the members, participants here, that's a good idea. Thank you. So if there is no part, Sairam.
I'm sorry, Brother Sairam. Can you also ask the follow-up questions when you are discussing something on a particular topic? Can be, or the audience can ask follow-up questions on that, or how is that going to work?
I think the next week, or you mean, or in general?
Yes, next week. Next week.
Yeah, I think we are not. If you send in advance, at least to start with, it will be a good idea. But I'm sure follow-up questions are welcome, because it's as part of discussion. Just the way the study cycle, there are questions coming up. It'll be good. Follow-up questions are always welcome, because that's what will clarify the topic being discussed. I think one of the concerns we had was that sometimes people are not asking questions. That's one of the reasons we thought we will put on the videos on, because if we feel that participants feel that they need some clarification on any of the points, we can spend a little more time, because sometimes person may not be willing to ask. So that was the thought. But follow-up questions are always welcome, because that's the only way we are all going to. Because even somebody may have a question, they may think it's not a significant question or not. But when a person asks, I think all of us benefit from that, because it makes us all think and understand Swami's words more better. So follow-up questions are welcome. Saira.
Thank you, Saira.
If there's no other thoughts today, we can close with Samasta Loka and Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thanks for joining us today, Saira. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam, everyone.